If you're hoping to get your beautiful children's book into libraries, then this video is for you, because one helpful step to consider, especially before publishing, is to apply for a Library of Congress control number, or LCCN. While it's not required and many self-published books have found their way into libraries without one, having an LCCN can make cataloging easier. I'm going to walk you through the entire process in this video step by step, so let's jump right in. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the founder of Children's Book University. I create videos specifically for children's authors, so if that's you, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. In this video, we are going to look at what an LCCN is, why it matters, and how we get one for our children's book. So what is an LCCN? The LCCN stands for Library of Congress Control Number, and it's a cataloging number that librarians use to identify, track, and organize our book in their systems. Now here it's important to note that an LCCN is not the same as our ISBN. Our ISBN is what distributors, bookstores, and retailers use to track our book sales and formats. LCCN, on the other hand, is what libraries use to organize and catalog our book. So these numbers are completely separate. If you have any questions about ISBNs, and the only place I recommend getting your ISBNs from, I went ahead and shared my separate video on this in the description below. So in order to sell any physical copies of our book through stores or online marketplaces, we have to have an ISBN, whereas an LCCN is not required in order to be able to publish and sell any physical copies of our book. So if they are not required in order to sell our book, why then may an LCCN be important? Why might we want to consider applying for one? Depending on our personal goals as children's authors, it can absolutely open additional doors, especially if we are planning to reach out to libraries later on. LCCNs make our book more catalog friendly for libraries, which in turn may increase our book's discoverability in library databases. And having an LCCN also adds an overall professional touch to our copyright page. Think of it as one more way to position our book as polished, credible, and ready for shelves. Now, before we jump into how to apply for an LCCN, there are 5 important details to know and consider before applying. 1. We must request our LCCN before our book is published. This is the number 1 rule. If our book is already live and published, we will no longer be eligible for the Pre-Assigned Control Number Program, or PCN, the program through which we as independently published authors may acquire our LCCN. Once our book is selected for inclusion in the Library of Congress's collection, that PCN becomes the official LCCN. Now, while acquiring an LCCN after publication is still possible, it's not guaranteed, especially for independently published books. 2. The PCN program is specifically open to independently published authors and independent publishers here in the United States. So even if we are publishing our beautiful book independently, we can absolutely apply. 3. Only print books are eligible, so ebooks cannot receive an LCCN. But unlike an ISBN, where we need a separate ISBN for each separate format of our book, so one ISBN for our hardcover and another ISBN for our paperback, for example, we do not need a separate LCCN for each of our formats. An LCCN identifies the book itself and not the format. Therefore, we only need one LCCN for all physical formats of the same book. 4. An LCCN is not the same as copyright. If we want to officially protect our creative rights, we will want to register our book separately with the U.S. Copyright Office. The LCCN does not protect our intellectual property. I have a whole separate video on copyrights, so I made sure to share the link to it in the description below. And 5, the application process is completely free. The only cost to us as authors is the mailing of a print copy of our book to the Library of Congress after publication. But more on this later. Now let's see where to go and how to request our LCCN. For our very first step, we want to go to the official Library of Congress page. I went ahead and shared the most direct link to the specific page we need in the description below. It currently looks something like this. Alternatively, we can also simply go to the loc.gov and search for the term Pre-Assigned Control Number Program in their search bar. Remember, that's the way through which we can receive our LCCN. Once our book is approved for the library's collection, our PCN becomes our official LCCN. Next, we will want to scroll down until we see these two choices right here, CIP publishers and PCN publishers. We will want to click on the PCN publishers. If this is our very first time here, we will want to click on the Create Account on the right, and then log in and click Request LCCN. For our second step, we want to fill in all the requested information, beginning with our general information, where we are being asked a few questions about our book. Will the book be electronic only? Here we will want to click No, because remember, our LCCN is for physical copies only. Will it be part of a series or recurring publication? In my case, I'm selecting No. Is it intended for children or young adults? Here I select yes, and I also enter the grade and the age range. I also add the number of pages, the language, and the projected publication month and year. On the next screen, we get to enter our author name as well as our role as the book's author. This is also where we would add our illustrator if we wish to do so. And entering our date of birth is optional here. On the next screen, we can upload a single PDF of our title page, not the cover, but the title page. I usually just leave this one blank and move on to entering the title and subtitle of my book, as well as the name of my imprint and my city. The names of the contributors usually generate automatically from the previous screen. If you have any questions regarding what to enter for your imprint or your publisher, I made sure to share my separate video on this topic for you below in the description. When entering this information, we want to make sure it matches our book's title and subtitle exactly. On the next screen, we will share whether or not our book is part of a series and whether it consists of more than one physical volume. This is also where we get to enter all the ISBNs for our different formats. Because remember that I mentioned earlier that we only need one LCCN per book, not per format. So our Library of Congress number will cover all the different physical formats of our book. The next section asking us to provide a short book summary is completely optional, but I like to simply copy and paste in my book description here. Either in its entirety or just 2 to 4 sentences work just fine here. If you need any help with this, make sure to watch my separate video on how to write your book description. Again, I share the link below. For our third step, we are simply asked to confirm that our entered application information is correct. So we will want to carefully go over all our provided information again and then hit the green submit button if everything is correct. Now, once we have submitted our application, we will see a quick confirmation message informing us that we can see the status in our My Request section, which we can access on the next screen we are being redirected to automatically. Our My Request section is right up here in the upper right corner of that next screen, which holds all our outstanding applications. For our fourth step, we will simply receive a confirmation email letting us know that our request has been submitted, that we can view the status of our request in the My Requests tab that I just shared with you, that once our request has been completed, we can make changes to the request, and that it can take up to 15 business days to receive our LCCN via email. And finally, in step 5, once processed and approved, we will receive an email with our very own LCCN. Again, this usually takes between 10 to 15 business days. I haven't received the LCCN for my most recent submission just yet, but this right here is what this email looked like for one of my previously submitted books. The subject line reads, LCCN request for plus our book title. And the email includes our Library of Congress control number as well as instructions to send a complimentary copy of the best edition of our book immediately upon publication. So that's important here. The process isn't truly completed until we have sent a published copy of our book. One format is completely sufficient. So my ninja tip here would be to simply send in the paperback version because it's so much more cost effective. And the address to send our book to is right here in that email as well. And that's it. That's how we apply for our LCCN. And where would we display our Library of Congress number? We will want to include it on the copyright page of our book alongside our other publication information, exactly the way it appears in the approval email we will receive. So again, we must apply before our book is published, The PCN becomes our LCCN if our book is selected for cataloging. Only print books qualify, so ebooks are not eligible. And after publication, we must send a copy to the Library of Congress because this is the part of the agreement for participating in the PCN program. And that's it. Requesting an LCCN might sound like a big or a bit confusing task, but now that you have seen the process, you'll be able to handle it with confidence. Including an LCCN is a wonderful step to consider when preparing a book for potential library distribution. If our book is already published, it is simply something helpful to keep in mind for any future titles. And if we are still in the planning or publishing phase, it's a great way to support discoverability and potential cataloging in libraries. I so hope you found this helpful. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really encourages me to keep making free videos for you just like this one. Here's to finding and opening even more opportunities for our beautiful children's books. Bye!